Right now, the prosecution is delivering its closing argument to the jury in the child sex abuse trial of Jerry Sandusky. And when that's complete, the jury gets this case. The former Penn State coach is facing life in prison for the alleged sexual abuse of 10 boys. HLN is covering every detail of this case and has been from the start. Mike Alanos, in fact, was in court this morning for the closing argument from the defense side. And he's right there in Pennsylvania for us. Mike, I know you've got a legal guest with you to break down what happened today and where we go from here, right?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that theme that I've mentioned to you. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. That's what Joe Amendola, Jerry Sandusky's defense attorney, kept going back to as he kept hitting each point. And by the way, any moment now, the prosecution could be wrapping up. But let's welcome in Jeff Gold, defense attorney, has been following this so closely, and you've been listening to me talk, so let's get your take on it. What about that theme? Before we pick apart, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. He's saying, come on, jurors. Jerry, and I know one point he made that wasn't one of his main ones, was Jerry Sandusky, he was around kids his whole life. Now all of a sudden he becomes a pedophile later in life? What about that? It doesn't add up, doesn't make sense theme.
Mike, that's what pedophiles do. Unfortunately, that's what they do. They stay around kids their whole life. I think that it was a lot of fluff. I didn't think we heard anything new in the closings that we didn't hear before. I think that him trying to have a mantra and say it doesn't add up is nothing. It's fluff. I think that, what he needed to do is say, why did Mike McQuarrie lie? Not why did Mike McQuarrie not say something. I think it's understandable why you might not say too much. And we know now that Mike McQuarrie did say something. He attacked victim 4, he attacked victim 1, but it's a scattergun approach that he had here, and his only theme was this mantra, it doesn't add up. Believe me, he had to do more than that. We'll see what happens.
To me, anyway, and he it tells you what the importance, I would think, that toward the end, he wanted to make sure he got the point out there, hey, these investigators coach some of these accusers. Look what, I've got my own witness here that they came and said in that courthouse behind us, he felt like they were trying to get him to say something that wasn't true. Is that his best line of attack, to find some reasonable doubt in that?
That's all he can do. He hits each witness with something different, and that's how you know that that's not really the truth, because what you need is a thread that puts 10 of them together, and if you can do that, you win the case. But to say one came because they mentioned a car, one came because of another reason, it's not adding up for me. Okay, he may say it doesn't add up, but I think the jury wanted to hear from Jerry, and I think the fact they didn't hear from Jerry is going to leave them with 10 victims in their mind. And thinking that those 10 victims didn't come forward. How would you like to be a 12-year-old boy? Are you coming forward when that happens? No, you're not coming. Add on top of it that it's the religion of Penn State. You're a 12-year-old boy. You're not going to come forward to begin with. Now on top of it, you're like attacking the Catholic Church in your own neighborhood. Are you going to do that? No.
Let's talk, and you've had some interesting insight to the Penn State factor and how Joe Amendola thinks it could work in his favor. He wanted this case here, and he wasn't shying away from people, obviously, who had a connection to Penn State on that jury. No. What's he banking on here?
That's exactly what he's banking on, that the celebrity of it. He's like the OJ of Central Pennsylvania. He's banking on that helping him, on those people being able to go home and say, okay, this was the cops' problem. This was some other issue. I can go home and live with myself. But can those jurors really live with the fact that these 10 kids, A, got raped, and B, had to come forward to a trial because Jerry Sandusky wouldn't take responsibility, and C, in order for them to quit, the jury has to call all of those 10 liars. Can that jury live with that? Even though they're Penn Staters, can they live with that?
You think that's what the prosecutor, Joe McGettigan, is saying right now?
I think he has to go that way. I mean, he'll use better words than me, of course, and he'll use it in language that's appropriate for a closing. But that's what he has to do. He has to say, string them together. You can't tell me these 10 kids got together. You can't show me how our investigators made them lie. Did they say, bring their stories out? Did they say to them, look, we need you to tell us more? Sure, they've got to do that. You've got to do that with every child victim. Most of them are not coming forward. Clearly, these did not come forward, so you have to do something. Is that enough for them to hang their hats? Maybe. But the prosecutor has a very strong case here, and I really want to know how the jurors are going to live with themselves if they acquit.
Okay. Great insight, by the way. I know you followed this so closely. Jeff Gold, we're going to hear from you afterward, by the way.